I think it's been clear this administration, if they ever see information they don't like, they blame the source. I think what's happening on the ground right now is prices are going up for families across the country. The economy's struggling. The Republicans are trying to rip away health care from millions of people. People are concerned on the ground about what this means for their future. Republicans promised to lower costs on day one. They're not doing that. The American people are feeling it. That's what's important right now. That's what people are feeling, and that's why people hate this bill that Republicans went through. It's only making things worse.
Chairwoman, is this a reason for the Federal Reserve to cut rates? Was Donald Trump right that this economy needs some help?
First of all, that should be they should be independent and making that decision independently. That's the role of the Federal Reserve. Donald Trump has done nothing to lower costs. We've seen chaos, random tariff policies that have raised costs on American families, costs of housing, food, health care, energy costs going up for families across the country. It's a broken promise from Republicans. They promised to lower costs. They've done nothing. They've only made it worse.
Well, there's a worry about funding the government beyond this month, as you well know. Congresswoman, what's going to happen here? We've talked about this a couple of times following the first rescissions package. We've had other Democrats come on the air and tell us they will not vote with Republicans, that they won't make a deal if already approved funds are being clawed back. Never mind the contents of the president's big, beautiful bill. What are you hearing from your members? Are we shutting down, or will there be a conversation?
Well, let's be clear. The Republicans have the White House. They have the majorities in the Senate and in the House. This is on them. They are leading the way, and frankly, they're not leading at all. They can't agree with each other. And the one thing is, they're not listening to the American people. The American people want policies that help families across the country, that lower costs. Republicans are only interested in one thing: doing whatever Donald Trump tells them to do. So if we really want to make sure we are doing the right thing, first of all, Congress controls the power of the purse. We should be supporting policies that help working families, working to lower costs. Number one thing that we can do, not even on the radar of Republicans.
Well, you know what we keep hearing from folks close to the White House, Madam Chair, is that Donald Trump and Russ Vought are saying, go ahead, make my day. If you shut down the government, we keep it shut down, and we'll decide who gets paid. We'll decide which agencies stay open. We'll decide who is working for the federal government in that period of time. Is there a part of you that worries if you shut it down, you can't get it back open?
Well, again, Congress has the power of the purse. That Congress should be leading. What you just said really highlights that we have no leadership from Republicans. They're in the majority in the Senate. They're in the majority in the House. They should be leading independent of the executive branch. They should be leading on appropriations funding bills. But they're not, because they're incapable of doing that. They're just looking at the White House. We need a Congress that's going to stand up for the American people. Folks are going to fight to lower costs, fight to help working families. That's our number one goal. That's what we hear when we go and actually talk to voters when we're at home about the needs that they have. That's number one. And folks, you see it in the numbers, in approval ratings, et cetera. People are angry about the path that Republicans have taken us down.
Chairwoman, let's talk about another topic that I think is cascading, not just in Washington, but across the country, and that is the effort of redistricting. I'm going to try to get my words right there. Does the Democratic effort to redistrict stop at California, or should we be looking at other states?
Well, let's be clear what's happened here. Republicans are scared. They know they can't win based on policy. We just talked about that. They are not focused on the needs of the American people. So if they're not willing to actually fight for policies that help working families, and if that's not their priority, then they know they're going to lose. And so instead of actually fighting and listening to their constituents, they're trying to rig the system. That's why you saw Donald Trump go to Texas and say, basically, give me 5 seats. This wasn't the people of Texas asking for this. This was Donald Trump saying it. And the people of Texas hate this. They think they should pick their representatives, not have politicians pick their voters. But Republicans are doubling down on this, and we absolutely are going to fight back. And I think you see that happening in California, where it's going to the voters to decide, a huge difference there. But Republicans are looking at doing it in other parts of the country. A judge in Utah made it clear that Utah has to draw a new map. So that is a good thing that's happening there. So yes, there are other states that are going to get involved. We're going to fight back. We're not going to let them walk down this path to try to rig the system and put in place the majority and really stop the voices of the American people.
Well, you know, it's something when we think about the midterms, some of the races that we're looking at, and I know that you've got a special today in Virginia, you've got one later this month in Arizona where Democrats are favored. But looking at some of the young faces that have emerged, for instance, in competing for Jerry Nadler's seat that he's leaving open in New York, and even on the other side of the Hill, I know you're not a senator here as you chair the DCCC, but James Talrico, for instance, speaking of redistricting, entering that race, it looks like, for Senate. Will a new generation of candidates be the ones to bring majorities back to Democrats on Capitol Hill?
Well, I think one way we win elections, especially in purple districts, is by having great candidates who are talking about the issues that matter, are talking about the issues that are important to their communities, and are strong, independent voices for their communities. We actually have 14 Democrats right now who represent districts that Donald Trump also won in 2024. And why did they win in those districts? Because they are strong voices for their communities. The majority, we need 3 more seats to take back the majority. The majority is about winning in more of those seats. We know when we have great candidates, which we have many people across the country who want to run because they want to stand up for our country and fight against the damage that's being done by this president and this administration and this Congress. They're ready to stand up for their communities. That's how we win. And if you look at special elections across the country, Democrats are running 15 points ahead because people are rejecting the Republican agenda.
Well, you had 2 more Democrats, as mentioned, Virginia, Arizona this month. Madam Chair, that puts the discharge petition on the floor. Democrats
2 more.
going to be the reason why the Epstein files are made public?
They only had a 3-seat majority, but we've had 3 vacancies. So getting 2 people back, getting the election today in Virginia, Arizona, and then further down the election for the special election in Texas. 3 more votes. Republicans have struggled to pass some of their bills just by 1 vote. So it's really important to have more people here voting for the American people.